Well, first of all, congrats to Texas Tech. They played great. They played very hungry, and they did a good job. They played a complete game, I felt like, on both sides of the ball. I thought we had a great start to the game. Well, a good first half offensively, right? Shooting 55, almost 56% from the field. And in our points per possession, it was really, really a good number. The problem is we didn't guard all night, and they went at us. And we didn't have much for answers. I thought we settled in and kind of kept it close. But, you go in at halftime shooting 56% from the field with 4 turnovers, right? I mean, you feel like you're in a good spot, and you're down 11. And so it just tells you how well they executed on offense and how we weren't able to get enough stops. And credit to them. Good teams and good players understand how to make plays when the chips are down, so to speak. And they did a great job. I mean, I bet they scored 5 or 6 possessions, with 5 seconds or less in the shot clock in that first half, and we weren't able to make them pay and finish 2 off of offensive rebounds. Number 1, Overton sticks a 3 where we're not up into it late in the clock. They scored a couple times off pick and roll. We're in what we call a fire situation where we're switching and we don't get underneath, and they throw it up the top to Federico, who goes for 11 points, in that first half. And they made some plays that way. And then the second half, obviously we struggled on the offensive end. I thought we pressed a little bit on that end and didn't finish enough plays. Our free throws, we got to be able to make our free throws at a much higher level. And so it was a potpourri of everything. And then you get to a point in the game where you're down whatever it is. You're playing to win, of course. So you got to take chance. I mean, you got to be able to press, double the post, double ball screens. You're trying to create turnovers and chaos. And I thought they handled that stuff really, really well. And we weren't they made us pay for that stuff. So disappointing night for the Utes.
Craig, it was a 1-point game. You guys had that lead. What kind of changed at that moment? What did you kind of think happened at that moment for them to get back and then just kind of take over that game?
Yeah, they did a great job. I mean, we just, at the end of the day, guys, like when a team comes into your house and when they score, and I mean, this is really oversimplified, but basically every offensive possession they had, they scored 1.5 points. So it was 1.52 points of possession. If you're giving up 1.5 points every possession, it was a potpourri. It was a little bit of everything. Darian Williams is a really good player, right? Super efficient, 5 for 8, scores 19 points, 9 assists, 9 for 12 from the line. And then they make shots. I mean, Chance McMillan, really good, very efficient. They got a lot of balance out there. And they just, pick and roll defense, post defense. They'll space you and just drive you, and we struggle at times. Certain guys especially really struggle to stay in front of the ball. So we got to find the last 2 games, which obviously have been the Big 12 games, we have to be able to defend. And I thought against Baylor, we did a solid job, actually, in the half court. We gave up 22 points off of our turnovers. Tonight, that was a big key because these guys turned people over, and we only had 9 turnovers to the night. But our half court's defense just was not nearly what it needs to be. So I thought it was a potpourri of everything. You got to get stops.
Just kind of staying on that a little bit, you talked about them getting those shots off, 5 seconds or later in the clock. Obviously, you had good defensive moments in that, but how challenging is that as a coach to kind of keep the spirits alive when those moments happen, because those feel like backbreakers at times?
Yeah, they do. I mean, they are. Like, right, you defend really hard. I thought, like, we were playing hard. I didn't feel like we were being, like, half, like we were exerting energy. I thought we competed. We were talking. We were flying around. And they did, man, and it kind of rips the soul out of you a little bit. But at the same, those can be deflating plays. But again, that's competing. And when you play good teams and good players, man, like you make plays, and so you can't hang your head. You can't have a woe is me mentality. And I'm not saying we had that, right? But you got to come back and keep on fighting. And then it got to a certain point where it was kind of, so you got to be able to give them credit, but at the same time, we have to be able to finish possessions. I've said this numerous times now. We have to finish. Got to finish plays. Got to finish possessions. There was a lot of possessions offensively, especially in the second half as well. Thought we didn't finish. We have just point-blank shots at the rim. It was a little bit of everyone. We had one late in that first half too. We had all that we had that run. I think Gabe missed the layup. We missed a switch right in front of our bench. Easy switch. between Miro and Gabe, they hit a three. And so you have to be disciplined. You have to communicate. You have to be on point and understand what's going on. And it's been a little bit of an issue with us. Some of our better offensive players aren't quite as good defensively. Some of our better defensive players maybe quite aren't as good as on the offensive end. And we got to find that blend of guys who are going to come out and compete hard. I thought Jake and Kate, Katie had 3 of our 9 turnovers, so we had 33% of our turnovers. But at the same time, those two guys, if you look at the plus minus, and a little bit was this late, but you know what? Katie's -2, Jake's -5. And I thought those two guys really brought some things to the table, and they do bring length to our team, which at times when we're playing those, even though, Gabe and Mason, and we have some bigger guards, but those guys are a different level, right? 6'10", 6'9". Katie's really long. So those guys can bring some different things to the table. Obviously, Ezra brings some of that to the table, and, thoughts and prayers with Ezra and his family. He's back with a family, death in the family. So, anyway, listen, there's no time, you can't wallow in your sorrows. You can't have the loser's limp. Tonight was really disappointing. We got to get better. And in this league, when you have 20 games in 10 days, you can't sit and sulk. You got to dig in. Got to dig in, man. You got to fight for this. You got to earn this, because no one's going to hand you anything. We got to go earn it.
Coach, this game obviously tested your guys' mental toughness, and the league overall is going to continue to do that. Do you feel like you can develop that mental toughness over time with this group?
Well, we don't have a choice. We need to develop it, and we're going to play the guys that have it. That's the bottom line. And you always got to look at everything. I've said it many times. Is it scheme? And you're always tinkering that. Is it scheme? Is it how you're teaching? Is it personnel? Probably a little bit of all three, right? And that's the thing. It's easy right now as a coach, because I'm not a happy guy, and nobody is. That locker room's hurting. But nobody's gonna feel sorry for them. And so you got to fight for it, man. And as a coaching staff, it's all of the above. And so we'll come back out tomorrow and get ready for the number 3 team in the country that's playing as good as anybody.
Coach McCaslin talked about perimeter shooting and the importance it was for their team to be able to not get burned by you guys tonight from there. The Madsen brothers go 0 for out there. I think 0 for 6.
Yep.
Just what did you see that they were doing right out there, and just how can you get Gabe kind of going?
Yeah, so it's easy, and this is where we're going to the last part. But it's easy when things feel like they're snowballing right now, right? And I'm sure everybody kind of feels that. Right, and so generally speaking, usually your problems things aren't usually as good as they seem, and probably not quite as bad as they seem, and it certainly doesn't feel good right now. And you got to be able to cut your problems in half, right? So it feels like, okay, we don't do this, what's tangible, what's executable, and we got to make it happen. Now, going back to, Gabe and you brought up Gabe and Mason. Mason didn't play a lot tonight, 11 minutes, and Mason's been playing pretty well. Gabe obviously has been in a little bit of a funk. He knows it. Everybody, feels it. He's a 5th-year guy. He's a confident kid. He's got to dig in. We believe in him. His teammates believe in him. Right? We're trying to find ways to get him some easy shots, especially later in that first half. We were getting a lot of easy shots in the first half. Shoot 56%. We got a little bit of everything. But we got to find a way to get him going. He's a marked man. Every game we go into, he's getting the best defender. Right, they're game planning to take him away, and so you got to be able to go to have go-to sets and go-to plays for your best player, and guys got to be able to find him, at right times. At the same time, we got to have some other guys that can be able to make some plays too, and make them pay. That's why you play 5-on-5. But cut our problems in half, get him some clean looks, and he's got to get his confidence back, and that's easier said than done sometimes.
Coach, Federico was putting a ton of pressure on the rim in the first half. Interior-wise, what sort of things can you adjust moving forward to make sure that the rim is protected without also compromising yourself on the perimeter?
Yeah, we've done a good job all year with that. Lawson, he's got really good feel for that stuff. I thought most of that stuff was late. We changed up some defensive coverages with him. Sometimes our fives were guarding him. Sometimes our 4s. We really didn't get hurt when we went to our smaller guys and we switched some stuff. I think he might have got 1 offensive rebound put back. but it was a lot of late stuff. Your fives get too high, right? And so, I mean, I don't want to bore you with all the details, but you either got to call veer and switch it late if the guards can't get back into it, or guards got to do a better job of not getting hit on ball screens, right? So now your five doesn't have to help as much because you're trying to guard two guys. It's a little bit of everything. That is something we've done well this year. Like if you look back, I mean, on almost every team, they've really struggled to score that way. But these guys do a good job with that, and they put us in some pick and roll that we didn't handle well, and specifically in late clock situations. He's good that way. The other night, I think he missed one shot as well. Those guards make him pay. Their guards are dynamic. They shoot it well. They pass it well. They get into the paint. You know, they do a lot of different things that way. The one perimeter player that's been struggling shooting it is Hawkins, and I think he started 2 for 3 from the three. And so now you got to, you know, kind of respect that and honor that because in Minnesota last year he shot it pretty well. So I feel confident we'll do well with that in that respect.
You talked about you're going to play the guys that are going to continue to fight. Did you think that you'd be this late in the season where you'd still be messing or tinkering with the rotations, or where's your kind of overall impressions of where you're at right now based on that?
Yeah. You know, I like these guys care. These guys, this is a good locker room. We have guys that really do care. So it's not, and I'm confident they're going to fight. I am. I mean, we still have 18 regular season games left, right? I'm confident in that. Like, it's a good group. But certainly, I feel like from the last 3 games, the Iowa game, the Baylor game, and of course today, I do feel like we're learning more about certain individuals. You don't want to be playing, you know, I mean, Ezra obviously didn't play tonight. So what did we play, 10 guys? I mean, 10's probably a little high, but I do like playing 9 guys. So it's got to keep, you know, who's ride the hot hand, who's going to guard, right? Who can give us multiple effort plays, who can defend and rebound. Like I'm leaning a lot more into, you know, that end of the floor.
Kind of building off of that, you know, it's a little different, obviously, with Ezra out today, but you mentioned Keanu Dawes kind of gave you a lift. Is there thought to maybe getting him out there a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, he played almost 20 minutes tonight, and I anticipate him seeing the floor consistently.
For both of you guys, obviously there was, in that first half, you get it down, or you take the 30-29 lead. Then they have that spurt where they take it back. What kind of happened in that moment? What kind of helped them get the momentum back?
I think we've said this before we weren't terrible offensively, but in the second half when things maybe don't go our way offensively, sometimes we let that affect us on the other end, and we simply can't let that happen. We've got to take care of defense first, and offense will follow and take care of itself. We know we're one of the most skilled offensive teams, but we gotta find a way to protect the other end of the court, especially at home.
Coming into the season, there was a lot of talk about how great you guys are as shooters, especially from around the perimeter. Teams are obviously going to be better than what you had early on in the non-conference and defending that, but what is maybe keeping you guys from getting the looks that you didn't, or are there things that you feel like you guys can do better to be able to get those open looks to help you?
I think going to conference play, they saw us shoot pretty well in non-conference, and so they're obviously scouting for that. And so it's our job as a team and organization to be ready for that and just do what we can to just figure it out and what we can do to obviously shoot better.
For Zach and for Jake, both of you, you both end up having good offensive days out there. Just from a confidence standpoint, how helpful is that for you guys, moving forward?
I think it'd be good for us to build on it, keep moving forward, but obviously we don't get those looks to score without our teammates trusting us to finish plays and give us the ball. But obviously just trying to build on the confidence through tonight.
Yeah. I'll speak for myself, and I know for Zach, but the individual stuff doesn't matter after a game like that. Like, it's very discouraging as a team. We're both, great team guys, I believe, and we have a lot of great team guys in the locker room. And so we're going to find a way all together. But it's, each night, different nights. Some guys, the the ball's going in for them, some guys not for them. But I think at the end of the day, our focus has to be find a way as a team. And so it's disappointing no matter how we played.
I guess kind of building off of that, is it almost better that this next game is just a couple days away, that there's not a whole lot of time to kind of focus on what's going on, it's just get right back to it?
I mean, this game's over, so we got a quick turnaround. We got to practice tomorrow. We just got to turn a new page and focus on the next team. And whatever happened today, just figure out, go back to drawing board, figure out what we got to do, and then move on, see what we can do against Iowa State.
Yep, we got to play with the mentality. We got nothing to lose walking in there. That's going to be a challenge, but every night's a challenge. It doesn't matter who we're up against in this league. So